This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz, and I'm so excited to be speaking with Becky Ann Baker about all happy families. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm here in chilly New York City.
Thanks for being with me. What can you tell me about the role of Sue and what you related to about the character?
It's a family comedy drama. I would say lean more heavily on the comedy. And Sue has just retired. She has a wonderful husband that was played by John Ashton, who just passed 2, 3 weeks ago, which it's kind of devastating. He was wonderful, and he's terrific in the film. And then two sons, Josh Radnor, who is our star, and Rob Hubel play my sons. And so it's your typical dysfunctional family. And the all happy family quote from Tolstoy is kind of apropos here, which is all happy families are alike. And all unhappy, wait, I wrote it down just so I'd remember. And all each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. So I would say our film is a mix of those two things.
What do you like most about Sue as a character?
So Sue, it's terrific. She retires at the top of our film, and I think a lot of women my age are doing this. She's rethinking what the rest of her life, the time she has left, should look like. And in it, Harula Rose, our director, co-writer of the film, gave me so many opportunities to do so many things, not just as an actor, but also as a woman. And one of them was to stand up and sing a country western song with Rodney Crowell, which was living my dream as both an actor and as, Sue. And yeah, I think Sue is about women rethinking what they want their life to look like when it changes in that kind of dramatic way, like a retirement.
We also see a moment with her boss that indicates perhaps a past that has not been something she's necessarily wanted, but it's used much more for comedy purposes than really drama.
Right, right. Um, uh, it's also though something that triggers her into, you know, uh, well, it triggers the whole family because I mentioned to my son this event that takes place, and it gets back to my husband, and a lot of things happen because of being taken advantage of, and I think she's been taken advantage of for a long time in her marriage. Uh, you know, she adores her son that hasn't quite been able to pull the trigger on life yet, the Josh Radnor character. And uh, nothing could make her happier than to see him succeed because he is wildly talented, but just can't quite lift off yet. So yeah.
What kind of work did you do with John Ashton to craft the sort of rocky dynamic those characters have?
We had so much fun actually. They had us we shot the film in Chicago, and John and I were both I was from New York, he was from LA. So they had us staying in this apartment complex right above and below each other, and we could touch base a lot about things. And uh he always had that big stogie in his mouth. He was just such a true character of a human being as well. And I think we had a couple of opportunities to really knock heads, and the way married long marriages can, and and finally kind of I don't want to give anything away, but we really have to rethink, what our long marriage has been and how I want to look at that. And so we have a kind of interesting. One of my favorite moments was in bed with John Ashton. You know, it just a scene with us lying and the cameras above, and the way people talk to each other in the dead of the night, especially when they're angry with each other.
What can you say about Josh Radnor and Rob Hubel?
Um, so Rob is one of the funniest people I've met. He's one of those actors who just is so facile and has come up a lot, I think, through improv. I don't know that for sure, but I believe so because he's just wonderfully facile that way. And Josh, I adore. we've gotten to do a bunch of press this week together and reclaim our affection for each other. And again, he's just wildly talented. And Josh is one of those actors who has his finger in a million pies. He's dropping music, he's directing films and pitching TV ideas, and then acting as well. So and fielding offers of musicals and plays because that's how much how many talents he has. So um, they were pretty great guys, and the fact that they got to really explore that dynamic of two brothers who have competed for a long time, their lifetimes together, is a pretty great thing to examine, I think, especially when it's done with kind of comic genius between the two of them. It does erupt into some pretty great, scenes between them.
You've had the chance to do a lot of films and TV in your career. How does this process of this independent film compare to others?
We had Harula Rose helming it. She co-wrote it with Coburn Goss, and I went back and reread it in anticipation of doing all the press because I just wanted to remind myself of everything that inspired me to begin with. And not only it's a beautifully written script, which makes all the difference in the world. You can often come out a script and make it better sometimes in the process, but to have the gift of a really well written script to start with is just wonderful. So that we started with that writing, and she's also a musician, so that's why music was so important to the film as well. And then as a director, she is a stunning director. She has what I would call a gentle touch. She knows what she's looking for. She knows what she'd like out of the actors, but she's also willing to like give you the field and let you bring what you have to it as well. So it was a terrific process. I love working on these indies where there's not some head of some studio kind of overseeing everything, and that you really get to kind of explore.
Hearing you talk before about your on-screen marriage made me think a lot about your real marriage, where you and Dylan often appear in the same projects together, which I don't see a lot of other couples doing, especially in some cases like Hunters, where you're not playing husband and wife, but rather
Yeah,
people who are
yeah,
not on the same side of good and evil, if we'll
yeah,
put it that way. What
yeah.
is it like, working together in that capacity?
Well, it's great because we have so much information that we don't have to work on. But in Hunters, for example, you're right. I got to call him, my character got to call him a small, bald son of a bitch. And he asked me to stop practicing that line around the house. We had so much fun with Hunters. It was just great. But you're right. A lot of times people will think of us as an older married couple that has, when there's an adult in the film or TV show that they want to, and it's really fun because there's so much information we already have, that you can actually not worry about the marriage. So it's kind of great.
I know you were also a big part of the show Girls, which I'm curious how you think that holds up today.
It's interesting. I'm always fascinated by people on the street. They seem to be getting younger and younger who have that as a reference, and freaks and geeks as well. And I know that they rerun these things, and that people will come up, especially in New York City because you're so available out there on the street. And they'll want to talk about these shows. And Girls seems to have really landed its mark in so many ways with young people. When I say young, like in their 20s, 30s, who are still watching it. You can call it up and kind of continue to watch it. So that's kind of great. My husband just did a film with Alex Karpovsky directing and writing. So the relationships of those jobs just kind of continue, and it's great.
Great. Well, I want to ask you about a show that I imagine you don't get asked about very often, but I remember watching during high school, and I had a copy of the DVD nearby.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't
We shot
know. This
that
I
up
feel
in
like
Vancouver. Yeah,
is like the lesser OC in terms of popularity at the time,
yeah,
but definitely a show that I found very entertaining. Do you have memories of that series?
Yeah, oh, so much. It was a long time ago, but we were flying from New York up to Vancouver to shoot it. And so we only maybe three, four times and we would go up and have this terrific, week of shooting whatever episode that we were the parents in. And our really good friend Michael Engler was directing, and I don't know if he was showrunner, but he was certainly mostly our director. So Dylan and Michael had gone through Yale Drama School together. So it was one of those jobs that was just really fun, really, really a lot of fun and somewhat dramatic as well, if I remember. Yeah.
Is there a show or a film that you wish that people would ask you about at this point in an interview, just that you're very proud of that people don't talk about enough?
Actually, A Simple Plan is one of my favorite films that I've done. And working with Sam Raimi is just beyond. He's just hilarious. Uh, but I have a lot coming up after this that'll probably start hitting next year. A few indies again that I've done recently that we won't hear of for quite a while. But in the meantime, All Happy Families is coming on starting tomorrow. I think you can stream it at I don't ever know the words, like the actual technical words.
It's hard to
But
know, but yes, I believe it'll be on demand. So,
on demand, yeah. Cool.
well, I'm always curious since this is awards buzz, if you've seen anything really great recently that you weren't in, like a show
Uh,
or a performance, film, anything that you find very awards worthy.
wow. Let me see. I've actually been out of the country for the last couple of months. We were actually took a vacation for the first time, and then Dylan was working in Mexico, so I went with him. But uh, nothing's popping right into my brain. But you know what else is fun though? That I know you can see on Netflix, I think, is Jackpot with Aquafina and John Cena. I have a pretty funny little role in that too, and I think that's showing right now. Um, no, I've been watching the British baking show again. When I have extra time, that's where I go because they're hilarious. So and we're big Survivor fans. So we've been watching this season of Survivor. It sounds pretty kind of common. I wish I had something really arty to say, but
Oh, no, it's always interesting. Also, Survivor, that show's been on for a very long time, so it's nice to see
exactly.
that you're sticking with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to speak with you, and I look forward to hearing about all your upcoming projects soon.
Okay, great. Thanks. Hopefully we'll see each other again.